As you come into the room, please hit the like button. I really would appreciate it. Thank you all so much for joining me right now. This was a very interesting versus. This was one of the most respectful versuses that we've seen, and you can tell that. Listen, these guys have been through it 20 some odd years, so there's definitely a lot of respect shown. And you know what? They were both right. It would have been so much different if Pimp C was there. Rest in peace forever to Pimp C. He was definitely one of the kings of the South. Listen, UGK was definitely one of the most influential groups. Listen, you can make a case that outside of Outkast, that UGK is the best duo in hip hop history. You can definitely make that case if you want. And listen, there is no way that I could go against you on that, because to me, and that's only my opinion, Outkast is the greatest rap duo of all time. And listen, I've been listening to hip hop for a very long time. Hip hop rap music ever since its inception. I mean, I go back as far as the Sugar Hill Gang, Run DMC. Listen, when LL Cool J was about 15 years old, I mean, I go back a long way when it comes to hip hop. And as far as I'm concerned, the greatest rap duo of all time is Outkast. I mean, to me, they are the standard. UGK is a very close second. I mean, UGK definitely. I mean, they are invaluable. And let's face it, as far as putting the South on the map, listen, obviously the Ghetto Boys in Houston, they opened it up. Scarface, Willie D, and of course, rest in peace to Bushwick Bill. They opened it up. And as far as Atlanta is concerned, even though they will not get the recognition that they deserve, and because they were little kids, listen, Criss Cross opened that whole joint up for Atlanta. But it was Outkast who put in the work that opened the door for people like Ludacris, T.I., obviously Little John, Little Scrappy, the Young Bloods. Listen, those guys definitely paved, and these two groups that just happened. I mean, that versus tonight, there was definitely a show of respect. It was wonderful to see David Banner, who I hadn't seen perform hip hop in a very long time. And David Banner has a lot to do with this too, because he came through when he repped Mississippi. Nobody was repping Mississippi. So David Banner definitely gets a lot of respect. And listen, even though I'm from New York City, I am definitely from the Rakim school. And if you remember, that is his famous saying is, it ain't where you from, it's where you at. Okay? And we already know where Rakim's place in hip-hop is. Rakim is the man. Rakim, listen, there's the holy trinity in hip-hop. And that is Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, and KRS-One in the mid to late 80s changed everybody's style. Everybody. Because before that, you could get away with certain things. You didn't really have to be lyrical. You just made sure that your rhymes hit. Now, Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew, they started changing it up too. That was before them with the show and Lottie Dottie. But listen, Rakim and those guys took it to a whole nother level when it comes to lyricism. I mean, all you need to do is get Eric B. and Rakim's first two albums, Boogie Down Productions' first two albums, and Big Daddy Kane's first two albums. Those are all the blueprints from, I would say, from 86 to about 19. I'll even go as far as 1996, 97. They were the blueprint that most hip hop really got its style from. But when it comes to the South, and to me, every region in the United States has its own type of flavor. I mean, obviously, and see, to me, that's the difference when it comes to rap now and rap back then. See, that rap back then was much more diverse as far as mainstream. Now, when you go underground, of course, there's more diversity in hip hop. But, I mean, let's face it, back in the day, the 90s to the early 2000s, yeah, you're right, Landon Price. We only got to see the B-Boys once, and that was the KRS-One versus Big Daddy Kane versus. No question about it. And they did their thing, too. They did a very good job when it came to that. But let's face it. Now, I mean, hip-hop has definitely changed from that. Because there are 5 elements to hip-hop. But obviously, we're talking about just rapping right now. But yeah, that's the only time you got to see B-Boys as far as the breakdancing, as far as the graffiti. That is a missing element when it comes to hip-hop right now. And I don't think that will ever come back, unfortunately. But it was very good to see the amount of respect that is shown to these two pioneers of Southern hip-hop. And they are definitely pioneers. Listen, they definitely open it up. I mean, when it comes to guys like Little Flip, again, it was good to see David Banner. I mean, I've seen him a lot on TV and a lot talking about Black empowerment, and rightfully so. I mean, it is beautiful to see how this brother has grown from where he started to where he is right now. Killer Mike, we've seen him grow. I tell you what, seeing Big Boy was wonderful also. I mean, I know he was a little hot in that coat, but he was definitely showing respect to the legendary Pimp C. And you can't tell me that Pimp C wasn't taken out for a lot of the things that he said. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've all seen them by now. Of course, how he spoke out against Atlanta and how he wanted the South to come together, because there is a lot of money involved. And you know what? It's crazy because Pimp C is absolutely right. You see what has happened. It is like the feminism of hip hop now. It is atrocious. Listen, he predicted guys like a Lil Nas X. He did predict that. He spoke out about Russell Simmons. And listen, I mean, you know about guys like that. Anybody who doesn't know, they weren't looking hard enough. I would just put it like that. But Pimp C definitely is and was missed. He was especially missed tonight. And I was, you know what? I was a little disappointed in Atlanta. Atlanta is allegedly the hip-hop capital of the world right now. I mean, it is the hot place as far as hip-hop, as far as producers go, as far as new talent. And a lot of people like to bash Atlanta, and I really don't. Listen, I give everybody their props on their own merits. But I expected the energy to be a lot more. Maybe it's because it was so early in the Memorial Day weekend. A lot of people are getting ready to do their cookouts, have to go to work the next day. I guess that's part of it. Some people have other things to do. But I thought the energy level was very low for those two legendary groups. You would have thought there would have been more charge in the air. Listen, I mean, there was much more energy as far as I was concerned when you saw Bone Thugs and Harmony versus excuse me. I'm sorry. I got a little stuck there. Oh my God, I can't believe. Oh my God, that's so bad. 3-6 Mafia. That's inexcusable. How I could mess that one up. 3-6 Mafia, you talk about legendary groups. I mean, 3-6 Mafia versus Bone Thugs and Harmony. I know that there was a lot of animosity between those groups, no question about it. But to me, you can make the case that was the best versus. Minus the fighting, of course. But that was an electrically charged versus. And I don't know if versus has ever achieved that since. I mean, you could talk about Dipset versus the Lox, but that was a blowout. That was a Lox beatdown of Dipset. In fact, I was highly disappointed with how bad Dipset performed. I mean, I knew the Lox was going to perform. And it's not even the fact that they beat Dipset, it was how bad they beat Dipset. Here, listen, I think it's safe to say that everybody was a winner because, let's face it, both of these guys weren't really going after each other. Both of these guys acknowledge the respect that they have for each other over the years. They've done so many collaborations together. They've been on tour so long together. They realize how important they are to their home cities, obviously to Memphis, Tennessee. 8-Ball and MJG opened up a lot of doors. No question about it. I mean, maybe there is no... along with 3-6 Mafia, I mean, they were right there with them. They opened it up for Tennessee to be heard in hip-hop. Of course, UGK. I mean, let's face it. Houston definitely has been represented very well. Obviously, with Little Flip, Paul Wall, Mike Jones, Slim Thug, listen, and countless others. They've definitely been represented. Yeah, of course. Of course, Brother Third Ward, Columbia, no question. Yeah, it wasn't. Listen, Scarface, I did mention them earlier. I mentioned the Ghetto Boys. Listen, none of this happens without the Ghetto Boys, Scarface even. I mean, we all know that he discovered Ludacris. So, I mean, listen, Scarface is the man, and thank the Most High that he's still with us. I mean, we were about an eyelash away from losing him to COVID, as you already know. But, yeah, the South definitely was in effect there. And listen, even though I am a New York City dude, again, I'm from the Rakim school. It ain't where you from, it's where you at. If you represent hip hop, I don't care where you're from as long as you represent it the right way. And these guys represent hip hop the right way. There's no question about it. I mean, those guys are legends. I mean, Atlanta definitely did its thing. Obviously, Houston. Listen, I've always been a huge fan of California as far as hip hop. I'm a fan of the culture. I'm a fan of the real culture of hip hop. That's what's going on now. Even though there are some artists still that are doing their thing, but for the most part, I'm not a big fan of what's happening right now in hip hop. The feminization of hip hop it's disgusting. It's killing me. I mean, to me, in a lot of instances, the females are harder than the males in hip hop. They're putting out better stuff than them. I mean, it's pretty disheartening that I'd rather listen to Megan Thee Stallion than soft ass Drake's Cakes. I'm just saying. I mean, but I understand that's a different type of energy. And you're right, the energy was off in Atlanta. I think they should have held it. They should have held it either in Memphis or in Houston. It should not have been held in Atlanta, as far as I'm concerned. Oh yeah, of course. Listen, man. I mean, listen, when you do it the right way, you're gonna get love everywhere. And again, it's the Rakim factor. It ain't where you from, it's where you at. And rest in peace to Heavy D, of course, and Big Pun, two legends. It's scary. Heavy D would have been 50 years old a couple of days ago. And he doesn't get mentioned enough. He really doesn't when it comes to legends. But Heavy D is just as much a legend as any of those guys that I mentioned. KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane. Heavy D is just as much a legend as those guys are. And Heavy D didn't have to curse. Heavy D is from my hometown. Heavy D's from Mount Vernon, New York. Even though P. Diddy won't claim Mount Vernon, and it's not a problem because we won't claim him either. But, and listen, underground and battle rap is holding it down because what is mainstream hip hop is an absolute disgrace right now. Outside of a handful of artists. I mean, you have the Ty Dolla Signs of the world, obviously J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, of course. And listen, you can say what you want about Kanye. I mean, Kanye is, for all the craziness, Kanye's crazy like a fox. He knows what he's doing. And but I mean, he has underwhelmed, I will say that. Big Pun is one of the best lyricists of all time, no question about it. Big Pun is definitely a legend, man. I mean, listen, Fat Joe should still be kissing Big Pun's behind because he was so much better than him. And it's crazy how he always has Big Pun's name in his mouth and hasn't done anything for his family, has disrespected that family. But that's another chapter in another book. But yeah, man, Big Pun. And I tell you what, if you get a chance, his son, which ironically his son's name is his name, Christopher Rios. I mean, well, it's Chris Rivers. That's what he calls himself. Chris Rivers is his name. His son is nice also on the mic. He really is. I mean, he took after his father lyrically. But if you get a chance, listen to him. He's nasty too. But nobody's Big Pun. And we're getting close to that time of the year here in New York City where the Puerto Rican Festival and the Puerto Rican Day Parade is about a couple of weeks away. And listen, they always play that 100%. I'll be hearing that 1,000,001 times. And you know what? I love it because he definitely held it down for the BX. Just saying. He held it down. He held it down better than just about anybody. He's a legend, man. Big Pun is that dude. But this was a very good versus. Again, to me, it didn't have the same energy. I mean, I guess because it was Atlanta and it wasn't one of their hometown groups, I guess. But it was good to see a lot of people make their way through, of course. And again, I don't know, I'm a big David Banner fan. I mean, I've just seen the growth of him, seeing how far he's come. Seeing Big Boy, listen, they definitely did their thing tonight. And this was definitely a win for the South. I would love to see I don't know who I would want next to see on the verses. I tell you, and we already know. Obviously, it would have been so different if Pimp C was there. Maybe that has something to do with it too. Yeah, they did. They did. And that's why David Banner is so huge too. Because what rapper did you know from Mississippi? I mean, even now, it's like, listen, what? I mean, you have to give credit to the brother. And you're right, UGK and 8 Ball and MJG, they definitely made rap artists have pride. But the ATL did that too, to be fair. I mean, Crime Mob, Goody Mob, of course. And to be fair, well, see, Nelly, St. Louis, that's more the Midwest. So that's why I know that's different. But you're right. I mean, they definitely rep the South. Obviously, later on, Little Flip in them. But yeah, they held it down at a time where either you had to be from New York or from California. Oh, what's going on, good brother? I don't know if you got a chance to see the verses between 8 Ball and MJG versus UGK, but it was a decent versus. I don't think the energy was quite what it should be, but it was a good versus. Definitely a lot of respect between all three groups, no question about it. I mean, both groups. I mean, listen, man, 8 Ball is big enough to be. Oh, you just started. Okay, I got you, good brother. But if you get a chance, just catch the replay of it. It was decent verses. You are definitely, absolutely right about that. He's a great producer. Yeah, he did a lot. You're absolutely right. I think, and I do believe David Banner is one of the most underrated artists and producers when it comes to hip hop and history. No question about it. David Banner. Listen, I still bump Like a Pimp. Him and Lil Flip. I mean, I still bump that one, man. That's, you talk about a classic. That's a classic. And trust me, that got a lot of play here. A lot of play here in New York City. A lot of play. But that's definitely all I got. I can't say that there is any real signature moment, so to speak, when it comes to it. But it was a very solid versus. It wasn't the best versus. Yeah, no question about it. It's not, and nobody else is even close when it comes to Mississippi. Nobody else is even close. I mean, obviously, New Orleans, I mean, has a lot to say with Southern hip hop. I mean, I would love. I mean, unfortunately, I guess because Cash Money has the bigger names now, it would have been something to see Cash Money versus No Limit. That would be an interesting versus. That would be a very interesting versus, but I don't think it'll happen. I think there's too much animosity there for whatever reason. But that would be an interesting versus. I don't think 50 will ever do a versus. I think 50 versus Rick Ross would be an interesting versus. But I almost think they're running out of verses as far as hip hop is concerned. Because let's face it, LL is going to look for an excuse not to do a versus. That wouldn't be a bad versus either. Big Crit and Currency. That would be a decent versus as well. Little Kim versus Nicki Minaj would be an interesting versus. Don't think either ladies would do it. Well, you know what? I'll take that back. If the money's right, I do think they could do it. I think that would be a very interesting versus. I think Jay-Z versus Kanye would be a very interesting versus. That would take a lot of money. That would almost be a pay-per-view type of versus. I don't know if they would be able to do that, because that there'd be a lot of zeros involved in that. That would be an interesting versus. Oh, Native Gadite, the versus was MJG and 8 Ball and MJG versus UGK. That was the versus. But anyway, those are my thoughts on the verses. Thank you so much. Thank you, Third Ward Colombian. Thank you, Native Gadite. Thank you, Landon Price, for joining me. Thanks, everyone, for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to hit the like button on the way out. UncleClaude signing out. I might be on later on this evening. Doing a little. Hey, it's my favorite niece, Dr. Onsite. You got too many darn names, April. I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate that. And make sure to check her out. Check out her channel. I know she doesn't need me to tell that, but I mean, she's definitely been a huge supporter, huge friend. Hey, oh no, how's everything? See, y'all coming on all late and stuff. But I might be on a little bit later on. I might play some music. I might sing a little bit. I might. I don't know. Depends on how I feel later on. This has been a very interesting evening, no question about it. But this was a very good and very interesting versus. Who won the versus? I think the South won the versus, to be quite honest. Both of them were very, very good. Hey, the Church of Diet Melanin. Good to see you in here. Thank you. And thank you so much. I mean, I know you caught me at the tail end of this, but come back and say, you know what? I will do just that. You might have to give me about 45 minutes to an hour, oh no. And hello to you too as well. I definitely appreciate that. Oh, my favorite niece, I tell you. God bless y'all. God bless y'all so much. You know what? I'll be back in an hour. I'll do a little bit of R&B, a lot of hip hop. It's been a while. Taking me out of retirement. Maybe. Memphis, all right. Hey, listen to me. They both were winners. They definitely both were winners. All right, you got it. So I'll definitely make it back. And there might be a couple of refreshments being served. I mean, drunk. Thank you all so much for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. UncleClaude signing out for now. I'll probably be back in an hour or so. That's gonna be one of those. Oh wow, I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. When I come back next time, like I said, I'll be playing a lot of music, things of that nature. I might sing a couple of tunes. Have the Cash App out. Just saying, $$ UncClaude. I'm just saying. Yeah, you got that. You got that right. You got it, good brother. Always a pleasure to see you, man. But thank you all so much once again. Take care. Stay safe. It's crazy out there. We know that this this world is, listen, we are definitely, even though people don't want to acknowledge the Bible, I mean, we see what's going on out here. We are definitely in the last days, whether people want to acknowledge that or not. But we have to be diligent as a people, as always, and we have to watch each other. I appreciate that. Yeah, make sure that I do appreciate that. Thank you all so much. See you later on this evening. Take care, everyone. God bless and stay safe.